Hello, my name is Dean Bavasoto, and I am teaching 8th grade ELA at Buffalo Collegiate Charter School. And teaching during the COVID-19 pandemic has taught me a lot of lessons that have really influenced the way that I'm teaching this year and the way that I will teach in the future. One of the biggest things that has been made really clear to me is that even when we are going through something that is a global pandemic, a collective trauma that we are all dealing with at the exact same time, we still often feel very isolated and like our problems are unrelatable and that no one really knows or gets what we're going through. And so I think we need to remember that when we're not going through traumas that are collective and global, it's even more isolating. And so I've been trying to use literature to remind students that no matter how unrelatable or novel you think what you're going through is, if you really boil it down to its simplest parts, it's probably painfully and boringly human and timeless. And so we can really use those experiences to help us navigate our own personal traumas, the ones that people don't even know that we are experiencing.
Hi everyone, my name is Denise Granditz, and up until about 2 months ago, I was a 7th grade ELA teacher at Franklin Middle School in the Kenmore Tonawanda Union Free School District. What COVID has allowed me to see differently is to see students as real people again. I think that as educators, we need to recognize that we're not just teaching a subject to a student, but rather we're teaching life to humans.
Hi there, I'm Emily Wynn, and I'm a middle school ELA teacher. One good thing about last year and teaching during COVID was that there was an increased focus on mental health, relationship building, and the importance of social emotional learning in the classroom. The school that I was at implemented daily check-ins in homeroom, and teachers went above and beyond to make that effort to connect with students at home, whether it was fully remote students or students that were just out on our hybrid track. We had lots of good conversations with my students during class about how they were staying happy and healthy, whether it was things like getting outside or petting their dog. And it was really refreshing to see kids as young as 11 and 12 years old being able to actively identify things that they could do on a daily basis to make sure that they were happy, healthy, and mentally all right. So something that I brought forward into this year is changing the way that I ask what questions they have. So instead of saying, "Do you have questions?" I say, "What questions do you have?" at the end of instruction, because that emphasizes that they should have questions. I want them to have questions, and I want to help them find the answers to those questions. Other things that I've been spending time on this year, especially since students have been out of school for so long, is modeling those soft skills like how to organize a binder or a notebook, how to make a plan for when to fit your homework time into your evening. I'm also trying to retain that spirit of flexibility and that emphasis on mental health, both for myself and students, and doing things like those check-ins or just giving myself and students grace, because even though we are not in the midst of the pandemic the same way we were this time last year or the year before, it is still ongoing, and all of those things that we are learning and adapting are things that we need to continue. Thanks for your time.
Hi, my name is Cindy Smith. I'm a behavior specialist for CA BOCES Big Picture, which is an alternative education program for at-risk youth in the Southern Tier, Western New York area. If I were to answer how did COVID change my practices and my education, my first response would be, how did it not? But the number one thing of my takeaway was that relationships count, relationships matter, and relationships first. If we did not focus our program on relationships and having a strong bond between staff and students and things of that nature, with the population that is our program, we would have lost them during lockdown when we were all in quarantines and all home. I was able to see the fruits of my labor, if you will, the seeds that we planted, that we had students tracking us down in unique ways because they felt like they needed to let us know they were okay. They needed to let us know that they were thinking about us and they wanted to feel part of our school, even though we couldn't all be together. So as much as I do not love our reality as it is now, I am very grateful for the proof that what we have done with our relationships first is what kept so many of our kids invested and engaged to the best of our very ability.
Hi, my name is Lily Inglet. I am in my 4th year of teaching English. This year I am at Lackawanna Middle and High School. And one of the biggest things that was reaffirmed for me after/during teaching in this pandemic is how important it is to build a sense of community and build relationship in the classroom. I think that being at home, the isolation really was no good for anybody. And this year I have spent so much time taking more time every day to really check in with my students, see how their weekend was, how they're doing, talk about their sports games, and all of those things. And another takeaway is that COVID really pushed me to make sure I'm delivering 21st century skills to my students. So taking the time to make sure they know all about the ways that they can use that laptop or that tablet they have to their advantage, especially because I teach seniors. That's a valuable thing for them to be learning as they're getting college and career ready.
Hi, I'm Gwen Bush from Ellicottville, New York, and I teach at Big Picture. I teach 11th and 12th grade English, and when I think about all the things that have happened the past 2 years and what I've actually gained from them, I think working and really building relationships is the number one thing that stands out for me. I've always believed in relationships, but I see now how really important it is to maintain those relationships and work at them and not let them slide. And I think that is not just my personal life, but also for my teaching life.
Hi, I'm Kathy Macro. I'm a professor at Buffalo State College, and I've been teaching English since 1998 and been a teacher educator since about 2011. The thing I've learned, or the other thing I'll carry with me, is that I've really learned that less is more. If I can create my assignments so that they're more meaningful and less frequent, I don't find as much value in all of the things that perhaps I once asked students to do. I think we need to meet everything with a little bit more grace as educators. I always tried to view my students that way. I always tried to meet with them as, human beings first and students second. But I think that, we need to move forward that way in all things from here on in. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Kristen Smigelski. I am a PhD student at the University of Buffalo studying curriculum instruction in the science of learning with a specialty in elementary education. I am a TA for the teacher residency program for the curriculum class, and I also am a kindergarten through 8th grade music teacher with Buffalo Public Schools. We are teachers and we are amazing people. We know how to adapt to every student, so really getting to know your students, being there for their social and emotional well-being. And as crazy as it is, learning the technology that you needed to get through COVID, being with your kids, calling and checking in, there's always something more that we can do, and I think that's really important and amazing that all of us did that over this past year. So I think that's something that I'm carrying with me through these next years of teaching. We'll see what happens. Hopefully there's no more pandemics, but just really being there for the kids and being there for our teacher friends as well. I know I definitely reached out to a lot of my friends instead of just going on a Pinterest board saying, hey, what are you doing? What's working for you? And building that network of resources was super helpful to get, as a teacher, to get us through the year. So I think that's something that really has changed. So no matter what happens, we're all there for each other, and we all have to be there for our kids and adapt to any situations that may arise. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm a licensed speech language pathologist. One thing that I learned from COVID is the importance of peer-mediated learning and how it helps facilitate these skills that we're teaching the kids. I think during COVID and using teletherapy, it was harder Definitely more of a challenge to have these kids bounce ideas off each other and also model the correct speech or language productions as they would in a classroom. Well, it's definitely going to take some time to fully implement peer-mediated learning again. One important action that I'm taking now is really getting to know my kids' teachers and building that professional relationship with them. So when I am able to push in that we have a mutual respect in the classroom and it's just a healthy working environment for all our kids.
Hey, my name is Rachel Robinson, and I'm the 7th grade ELA teacher at Elmwood Village Charter School, the Days Park location here in Buffalo, New York. And the thing that I love about teaching when I think about it is the fact that I am not like the all-knowing, like knowledge beholder in my classroom, that I'm constantly learning. I'm learning from 12-year-olds, and that they bring such necessary, beautiful, and important prior knowledge and experiences into my classroom, and that they create this super cool community, and they bring their experiences based on race and class and gender and cultures, and that we learn about it and read about it and write about it together. And through COVID, that was the hardest part for me, was being able to adapt to that and be able to bring what's around them in their immediate communities to our classroom, to have them like engaged and care about the stuff we were learning about. But the most important, because we created something together, and my classroom's nothing without them.
Hi, my name's Colin Debkowski. I'm an English teacher at Alden High School. So one piece of knowledge I gained about teaching and learning during the pandemic was, I think, really just the importance of students being together in a community and the negative effect being isolated has and had on their mental health. I did not appreciate how incredibly important it was and is for students to be together in a community, and because that sense of community is so difficult to replicate in the digital way, how negatively they would be impacted psychologically and emotionally by being isolated for so long. How much repair work would need to be done this year and into the future to mitigate those negative effects. Number one realization, I think, is the importance of relationships. That sounds basic, and they teach us that at Buffalo State, that relationship building is the foundation of great teaching. And you can hear that, but you don't really understand what it means until you're in the classroom. During the pandemic, it was so clear that connections, genuine connections, relationships with students that are based on mutual respect, and also are not transactional, that are not you do something for me, I'll do something for you, but relationships that are based on really caring for each other as people, as students and teachers, and as a classroom community, a school community, a wider community. That's the only circumstance under which learning will ever actually happen.
This past year and a half has been absolutely crazy for everyone, for kids especially. Thinking about what the past year and a half looked like for kids, it looked like being at home. I taught summer school this year, and I had a student who didn't leave her house the entire time because of anxiety. And when I think about all the important things and lessons that kids learn from interacting with one another, I realize how much they lost out on. They lost time with their friends. They lost time to be social and interact with other students, to learn how to treat one another, to learn how to treat themselves. And moving forward into this year, that's something that I'm definitely taking with me, is giving them that time and space to be who they are and to learn from each other. Because even though the content is important for what I'm teaching them, what is equally as important is them having time with one another to explore themselves, to explore social interactions, and to explore how to deal with their own emotions. You know, when kids sit inside and are by themselves doing what they want, they don't experience the range of emotions that they do in school. So social and emotional learning is at an all-time high for this year. And that's what I'm definitely going to take with me and what I'm implementing this year in my classroom.
Hi, I'm Deborah Bertelsmann. I'm the 9th grade English teacher at Olmsted at Kensington and Buffalo Public Schools. When I think back to the pandemic and what I learned as a teacher about learning, one of the things that strikes me is the incredibly high quality work that my students were able to produce despite sort of some of the chaos and change happening around them. And it made me think a lot about, as humans and as teenagers, what incredible things we are capable of. It also made me think a lot about what makes us human as teachers and what makes us human as students, and really focusing on kindness and empathy and understanding in our interactions with each other and our understandings of how we learn.
I think something good about teaching last year through COVID was just getting to learn about the new technology and getting to use things like Nearpod and Edpuzzle and maybe audiobooks and other things that I had not really tried before in the classroom. In terms of what I learned in teaching through COVID, I would say really that the relationships are the most important thing. I think we all get bogged down in the content sometimes, but at the end of the day, a lot of our students don't really remember the content as much as they remember the teachers who they built solid relationships with and who treated them with respect. And then, finally bringing to this year, I think a big thing is just kind of, having that energy every single day and doing your best, every single day. I think, last year only seeing kids some days of the week and some other days of the week, it was really a different experience. And I think you're getting more kids kind of valuing being there every single day. So kind of making sure as a teacher that you are prepared and ready to go, even more so than maybe before.